that ever we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together.
I'll be responding to these messages right here.
And a special hello and welcome to everyone. Welcome to DMs with PM. Now, we got some good news and we got some bad news. The good news is it's time for another wonderful hour where we get to speak and of course you get to ask the Prime Minister your question. And the bad news is it is the season finale. It's like Real Housewives, click, click, season finale. But of course, we'll be back. But we have to at least take a break. Carnival is 2 Mondays away, and we are definitely in Carnival mode. We're warming up, we're getting ready for the season. And I trust everyone is doing well, and you're finding some sort of action or some sort of activity to partake in. This week, it's all about the semis. Yep, we're getting ready for semis action in Big Paris St. Andrew. Thursday, it's all about the groovy. On Friday, it's about the power soca. And of course, on Sunday, we're back for the Melody Papitet Calypso semi-finals. So it's definitely St. Andrew this week. It's all about you. It's all about the action. As a matter of fact, you guys been doing the most for the past couple of weeks. I think Carnival is definitely in Big Parish this year. But we'll get to that in a little bit. All for now, special evening to our Prime Minister, and welcome back to DMs with PM.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm sad like you that it's the season finale, as you call it. So I look forward to this being a fantastic show. I look forward to engaging with our citizens in Grenada and in the diaspora. I'm almost tempted to say Happy Carnival already.
We'll do that at the end. But before we proceed, just want to take time out to welcome all listeners on Power FM, GBN, Fusion FM, Star FM, Vibes FM, We FM, GIS, and don't forget you can join Top FM for the rebroadcast on Sunday. And to those of you viewing on YouTube and Facebook, thank you so very much for being part of DMs with PM for the past couple of weeks, well, months rather. We truly appreciate you, and of course those of you who take time out every Tuesday to tune in and of course participate, keep it interactive. Those who sent in their questions and of course participated, we say thank you as well. So getting right down to it, you know how quickly time flies. What would you say how the past couple of weeks has been?
It's been good. It's been hectic. I certainly enjoyed being here on the show. I certainly enjoyed getting the opportunity to interact in this format that's multimedia and that reaches a lot of persons, not just in Grenada, but regionally and in the diaspora. So I want to say thank you for all of those who call in, because it's your calls that really make the show a success, and keep making the calls. And when we resume after the Carnival break, we look forward to season 2.
Fantastic. I like that, season 2. So we're speaking about Carnival, and of course remember you have the opportunity as well to chime in. You have the opportunity to send your DMs. You have the opportunity to call. We'll let you know when, so listen for the cue. But before that, we want to test the Prime Minister. I mean, I know he loves his Carnival as well, and the music has been heating up for the past couple of weeks. We want to know he has been busy here, there, everywhere, but we still want to see how much he knows about the music that's been, you know, taking over the airways for the past couple of weeks. So we have a little trivia called Name That Tune, or Name That Soca Tune. So let's test him and see how much he's been following the whole music vibes. I think we have our first song queued up.
Oh, no. People bless. Now they don't want me, the people bless. They say I can't control
looks like a groovy contender.
Well, she's actually a groovy semi-finalist.
Very good. Well, congratulations. She sounds new.
Yeah, she sounds good.
New and good, yes.
Well, new to the soca, singing for herself,
Okay.
but no stranger to the stage.
All right.
What's her name?
I'm going to have to give a guess. If I don't get it right, I'll make up for it. Sakina.
Sakina.
All right, so I'll call you Saki for short. So big tune. I like it. Best of luck in the semis, and hopefully you get into the finals, and then you never know.
Yeah, she has tremendous talent. She's awesome. We have song number 2 lined up.
My spirit goes back up from my casket. All I know is I want me flowers. Wait until I go 6 feet under. All I know is I want me flowers.
Kariku PM in the house. Say no more. Big tune as well. Big tune.
Say no more. All right, so we got it once he said Kariku, shot free with Bouquet, and of course he's also another semi-finalist for the Groovy competition on Thursday. We have song number 3 lined up. You have to know that one.
Well, he just said it. Ace of Spades. Northern Parish, St. Patrick, historic parish. They call it Krong City, right?
Yeah.
Krong City.
Ace of Spades. You just said it. Tara, your new name is Ace of Spades. You just said it. So I think we have our final song now.
With them in a style. When stars align, greatness outshines all hatred in space and time. So still we rise, with grace and with faith in the morning, with chains and all. I am a backpack and a ready, rubbing me backpack and a ready.
Carnival start. We head into the east. It's the east, right? St. David's all the way. Big up Muddy and the crew.
Yeah, that's your place.
I feel it's Muddy's here. I'm allowed to say that?
I mean, you can give your opinion. You're not a judge.
Right, I'm giving my opinion.
Okay, so your opinion, you think is...
When stars are aligned, everything head to the east. And, you don't know Muddy. Best of luck. It's time that, we crung. Wait, the reigning king is taking a little sabbatical, right?
No, the reigning king in the soca is
soca.
Dash, and the groovy is Boise.
Right, so the reigning groovy taking a break.
Yeah, so it's Dash and Muddy in the.
Right, so Dash had to defend.
Yeah.
All right, well, Dash is my boy too. We spent some time in library, so
so you're ready to go off his side.
We will see how it goes.
All right, so we were testing the Prime Minister's brain and, of course, making sure that he's up to date with the music. Like we said, we're going on break, Carnival break, so we want to make sure that he knows the song, because I know there's a couple fets or two that he has to take in. After all, it's our mass, Spice Mass, the best mass by far. So we are definitely looking, of course, to get right into it.
Calling the CARICOM community, assembling global Africa, the 4th edition of the Afri-Caribbean Trade Investment Forum. Active 2025 is coming to St. George, Grenada, this 28th to 29th July. Join government and business leaders, investors, and trade and finance institutions to explore the theme, Resilience and Transformation. Enhancing Africa-Caribbean economic cooperation in an era of global uncertainty. Be there as we stand together to strengthen our commercial ties, to promote shared trade and investment opportunities, and unlock prosperity for Africa, the Caribbean, and the wider diaspora. The 4th Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. Reserve your place now at active2025.com.
Welcome to the Cinnamon Model, one of the many stunning designs in Project 500. The home offers 944 square feet of living space, not including the veranda. It includes 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a dedicated laundry storage area, all centered around an open kitchen, living, and dining space for everyday comfort. In the current view, with work at 70% completion, having rough plumbing already in place, electrical, interior walls, and ceiling finishes to be installed soon.
Welcome back again, viewers, and of course, our listeners to DMs with PM. Like we said, the final one for the season, and we want to make sure we take in as much as we possibly can today. So what we're going to do now is head to the north of the island and take in some DMs from the street with Norris.
As we close off our first season with DMs with the PM, we are in the streets of Sotes. Follow us as we take concerns, questions from the people that matters. We have beautiful Mika Jones here to ask the Prime Minister a question.
Well, my question to him, as he's going forth and doing, we see trying to do a lot for the country, and in St. Patrick's region, we need a proper market space for all market vendors, for all farmers, you know, to come with their crops and come with their items to locate, for everybody to locate them. And everybody is all about the place, and it's very hard to find things when you want it.
Okay.
And it have a lot of crops, it have a lot of people have things spoiling, so we need a proper marketplace for all vendors, the meat stall and the local vegetables as well.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
No problem.
All right.
Definitely.
Blessings.
PM?
No, thank you, Ms. Jones, for the suggestion. I don't think it's a question, and I agree with her. One of the challenges we've had in Grenada is that our markets, well, except for Grenville, St. George's, St. John to some extent, we've not really created markets perhaps over the last 100 years to deal with particularly our farmers or vendors, butchers, etc. So St. Patrick is to some extent like places like St. David suffering from that. The government actually recently acquired a significant plot of land in St. Patrick that we bought from a private citizen. And the intent by both MPs, Minister Cornwall and Minister Andal, is to work with the Ministry of Infrastructure to see how we can best utilize the space to be able to accommodate things like this. We do have a team at the Ministry of Infrastructure that has already begun to work on the designs of markets in general. We need markets in Grandlands. We don't have one. We need in St. David. We perhaps need to even relook at the challenges in St. Andrew because the size, I think, has been outgrown, and certainly St. Patrick. So this is something we will be working on in the next 2 years or so, and hopefully we will be able to meet the requirements of Ms. Jones and others in St. Patrick who need additional space for a market.
We have another DM from the street.
All right, so we are on the Bayside in Sotes with Mr. Lyden Roberts, a CMOS farmer. So ask your question to the Prime Minister.
I would love to have like little help with the extending of the CMOS, you know, because I've been growing it for a long time. You know? I tried the battlers, you know, I tried the bamboo, but I didn't feel them things working. So I need like little help to get more pipes, like the 4-inch pipes or the 2-inch pipes, to join them, you know, to make the nest of the CMOS, and some ropes, so I could continue planting it. You know, and some farm, you know, I need, you know, to get little help with it.
Well, thank you for the question. I'm aware that the Ministry of Agriculture, including the Fisheries Department and other government agencies like SIPE and the OECS as well, have been working to assist CMOS farmers in Grenada. We appreciate that they suffered loss and damage coming out of Hurricane Beryl as well. So I think the comments of the farmer is certainly noted. It is something that I will take back to the ministry to see how we can better assist to ensure that both the technique of growing the CMOS is modern and can lead to better results, as well as those that are more resilient, because we also factor in that storm and wave action and hurricanes can also impact the livelihoods of our CMOS farmers. But this is an area that is growing. It's an area that we are encouraging both men and women to take part in, and we'll continue to provide technical support through the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay. We have another DM from the streets.
We are here with Mr. Davis John.
Yeah.
Mr. Davis, ask your question.
Mr. Prime Minister, we know that works have been going on behind the scenes to get that breakwater project on, but I think we need it to come a little faster than what we know is happening, because it's very, very dangerous. I traverse the area to my home, and some mornings when I enter in Sotes, I see that water is on the road.
Wow.
You know, so we need something to happen. We know it's going to happen, but we want it to happen a little faster. That's my basic concern at the moment.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah,
all right.
welcome.
Thank you for that. I too want it to happen even faster than it's happening. The only constraint I would say is that obviously because of the nature of the work, we need to make sure that we get the right technical specs to make sure that when the work is done that it's effective. The financing for the project is being provided by the Caribbean Development Bank, and once you have a multilateral bank lending, we unfortunately have to comply with the procurement requirements. Sometimes it's a little slower than we would like. It does require us to go through a process of public tendering for the project, receiving public bids from contractors, the evaluation of the bids, and then making sure the bids comply with the bank's financing requirements, and then we can award the contract. The period for the bids, it has already taken place. We are receiving responses from persons. We are optimistic that once we're able to evaluate the bids and the bank agrees with the contractor, that work can commence before the end of the year. It is something that both your MPs from the east and west of St. Patrick have kept on me about. It is something that I have kept the Ministry of Infrastructure about, because we recognize the significant damage that has been done to the coastline. So we are quite keen to get the work commenced as fast as possible, but there are some things that just simply can't go faster than they are going. We will commit to continuing to provide updates to the citizens of St. Patrick. But as I said, we are keeping our fingers crossed that we would be in a position to have a contract awarded and for the work to commence before the end of the year.
We have another DM from the streets.
So we are in Main Street, Sauters, and we are here with Mr. Robin.
Yes, sir.
So Mr. Robin, share your concerns.
Well, yeah, my concern here now is the market abattoir right in the back of the condition of it, in which people have to kill animal and we have to purchase meat from that animal. We now move in an area where we're concerned about the safety of the nation, where they buy meat and who they purchase meat from. And I think the abattoir is not in the best condition as we speak now for us to going forward in that program. We also have the concern with the bus shed and the building and the toilet facility and lack of wheelchair access for people using that area, and I think we should move forward in that. My last point is looking at the access road between almost Paradise to Pitians, coming out from the Darby area into the town, and the way that road has been neglected for all these years, knowing that Pitians is one of the only hotels that we could boast about in St. Patrick. The road in front of it is nothing to talk about, and I think we should have some concern looking at the road. It will really please us, the motoring public, people who come in to visit Pitians, and it will be good for the business too. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, so thank you, Robin, for the questions, the recommendations, and the suggestions. I also think today is your birthday, so before I answer your questions, I want to take the opportunity to wish you a happy birthday. I hope you're enjoying it and you're enjoying it with the family. So happy birthday again. First, we can start with the road. I think to some extent the breakwater is also something that will impact the road. Both of them will go hand in hand. We do appreciate that if we don't fix the breakwater, that ultimately the entire stretch of road along that area is going to be impacted. In fact, there may be simply no road. So we have to, in a sense, make sure that I think we address the breakwater first, and then we look at how we improve the stretch of road along the entire coast. This is something we committed to doing, so thank you for raising the issue. I think the comments regarding the abattoir and the conditions of the market reflect the first question that the first person from the streets raised. And obviously, the abattoir would be important, because if the meat quality and the conditions of safety is not what it should be, then we run the risk of health concerns in the consumption of meat coming out of an abattoir that does not meet the safety or the health requirements. So again, public markets, the conditions of the abattoir, we recognize these are issues that must be addressed. We are committed to doing so. I can't give a timeline at this particular moment, but I think we can certainly commit to have the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Infrastructure, the Ministry of Transport look at what we can do in the immediate environment to ensure that we can improve the conditions while we work on the long-term plans. So that is something I will certainly take back to the respective ministries to see how we can action it. So thank you for bringing the observations to our attention.
Robin is the mayor of Sauters, so he's definitely having a good birthday. We have our final DM from the street.
We have lovely Listra here with us. Listra, ask your question.
What I would like to see, Prime Minister, for you to create more factories so we could get more jobs. We got a lot of mangoes spoiling. I love mangoes. More than that, mangoes, what was pineapples, all kind of things spoiling. Golden apple, sour soup. Maybe we have our own factories here and make our own stuff, because we buy from Trinidad, we importing stuff. You understand? I need a job and I need to work in a factory. So check me.
All right.
Check out Mr.
All right, fantastic. I'm going to do so. So I want to start by saying we the idea and the concept of more factories is something we support, but it's important for us to appreciate that there's also the private sector, and the government can't do everything. So what we are quite keen to do, where we can do it, is to support the private sector, particularly when it comes to manufacturing, including food processing. I will commend some of the private sector entrepreneurs on the island who've already commenced that process. For example, the Windfresh facility in St. David, which was closed down and laid dormant for a long time, that has been bought over by Mr. Leroy Nichols and his family. They're planning to get it up and going, to be making ice creams, etc. We want to be supportive of them in that initiative rather than the government itself trying to do factories to compete with it. Having said that, the government has acquired a site in Lackalome in St. David's. Repair work is taking place there now so that we can actually provide factory space to our small agro-processors and so on, so that they can go to an environment where if they themselves can't do the agro-processing because they don't have a facility, that we provide one for them. So it is something we are keen to support. There are other small agro-processors on the island that we are working with, whether it's through things like improving the quality of services they get from the Bureau of Standards or the Produce Chemist Laboratory, whether it's like creating an agro-processing desk at the Ministry of Agriculture so that we can have data on our agro-processors and work on the things they need. There are a number of initiatives that we are working on to help support our agro-processors and to have factories. So a factory doesn't always have to be a big one. You know, a factory could actually be in your kitchen once the health and safety conditions are met, and we know a lot of our small agro-processors start that way before they grow. But it's something we're committed to supporting. I too don't like to see mangoes or pineapple spoiling. And finally, we're hoping that we can get the Marketing and National Importing Board rebranded and reorganized and back on stream in the not too distant future. And we think that will also give us an opportunity to see how we can bring agro-processing and more factories to the fore.
And not only that, we have to get into the habit of using more of our local stuff. I've seen local products on our shelves, and people would bypass it and go get the same product that's made elsewhere. So we also have to get into the habit of supporting local, supporting stuff that are made here, as well as the factories.
No, absolutely. I think we need a whole education campaign on this that is sustained from the primary schools, pre-primary schools, all the way up to make sure that we can work with our retailers as well. Even the way in which our local produce is stacked on the shelf is also critical, because if you don't access it when you walk in and it's tucked away somewhere in the back, you're not likely to see it or support it. But we also, I think there's a value issue as well. We have to encourage our people to understand that there's nothing more valuable that comes outside of Grenada. And I think oftentimes because we are receptive to receiving a lot of foreign marketing, and obviously they are good at marketing their food, which is usually fried, it looks good. And so instinctively we tend to want that, and it creates that desire, whereas we are not marketing a lot of our local food. So I think that is part of what we have to work on through the Food and Nutrition Council, which has been doing a fantastic job in trying to help with the country's nutrition. I think we need to raise their profile, give them more resources, and give them an opportunity to better explain the advantages of our own food, as well as find new ways to use our food as well, because that's sometimes the challenge. We cook the same thing over and over the same way. And I think we have to find recipes that are exciting, that uses more of our local produce, so that people could feel enthused about supporting more local.
And the younger the better. You start from the pre-primary, the daycares come all the way up. They'll get into the habit of actually appreciating local foods as well.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, like we said, it is the final one, so we have to use all the time we've got. So with that said, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have some of your DMs.
It's like the water, pure and clean. It's a comfort anytime you need it. It's for everybody, fresh and green. You can count on us, there's nothing like it. It's homegrown. It's island pure. It's homegrown.
Calling the CARICOM community, assembling Global Africa, the 4th edition of the Afro-Caribbean Trade Investment Forum. Active 2025 is coming to St. George, Grenada, this 28th to 29th July. Join government and business leaders, investors, and trade and finance institutions to explore the theme, Resilience and Transformation. enhancing Africa-Caribbean economic cooperation in an era of global uncertainty. Be there as we stand together to strengthen our commercial ties, to promote shared trade and investment opportunities, and unlock prosperity for Africa, the Caribbean, and the wider diaspora. The 4th Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. Reserve your place now at active2025.com.
Welcome back to our viewers and listeners to DMs with PM. And again, if you're just joining us, welcome to those of you who've been here from the very start, and to those of you who've been here from the very, very first program. Thank you so very much. We truly appreciate you. We now have some of your DMs to the PM, your direct messages from Gavin Thomas. Says there's been discussions about improving business processes in Grenada, but what measures are being taken to improve customer service within public institutions, both toward the public and internally among staff?
Well, thank you for the question. We are actually very keen to ensure that the customer as well as citizen experience with the public service and government services are improved and are continuously improved. It's not an easy task because there are certainly a lot of cultural practices that we need to improve upon. But I would start first with just internal training at the Department of DPA, Department of Public Administration. Significant training of staff is taking place on an ongoing basis. I will also emphasize that this government has made every effort to try and settle all of the outstanding grievances with public officers to ensure that there is no excuse for failure to ensure that they meet the customer experience or expectations, because if you don't take care of your family first by ensuring people are paid well, the working conditions and environment are well, then it's difficult to expect them to deliver the kind of service or the quality of service that we desire. Having said that, training is something that's ongoing. We are certainly making every opportunity that we get to give public servants the opportunity to train. I think getting to a point where we have customer service manuals where we are able to clearly identify what our customer service expectations are, if there are complaints, how the complaints are going to be addressed, the grievances is also critical. Also investing in technology, because a lot of what happens sometimes is wrongful exercise of discretion. And the use of technology oftentimes can eliminate this so that you're not depending on someone who whims or fancy to provide you the kind of service that is required. So I'll give a perfect example. Payment of taxes, for example. By giving our citizens the opportunity to pay taxes online, it means you don't have to worry about whether the office closes at 4 a.m. or whether when you show up at 12 o'clock some cashier goes for lunch, and so the lines are long, etc. So investing in technology is one way of addressing some of this, but there's no doubt the need for customer training, customer service is critical. The need for ensuring that you set customer standards. For example, if someone calls, what is the expected time frame for you to return the call? Is it 24 hours? Is it 48 hours? You know, setting those standards so that persons know what we expect of them as professionals, so that we're in a position to be able to deliver better services. And there are some areas of the government that I think we can rightfully say we're proud of in terms of the kind of service they deliver and their continuous striving to improvement. I always single out the passport office, for example. I think for the most part, overwhelmingly, the response from the public in terms of the quality of service, the efficiency, the courtesy that they get from the passport office is very good. I've actually said to the head of the passport office that I may have to use him and his team to help train other sectors of the public service. So it's a work in progress. Some departments are doing better than others. Some departments have challenges, but we are aiming obviously to get to the point where across the government there is general improvement in the service delivery.
Yes. We have another question from Princessa Isabel. Says, are there any plans to reopen the nutmeg pool in Munich?
Hi, Princessa. I wish I knew. I can't answer the question. You know, the nutmeg pool in Munich is owned by the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association. But I will take note of your question and make sure that the next time I see any member of the board or the general manager, that we will pose the question to them. The general manager, I believe, is Senator Roderick Sinclair, who represents farmers in the Senate. So, Senator Sinclair, if you're listening to DMs with PM, please give us the opportunity to provide the answer to Princessa when we resume in season 2.
All right, we have another question from Mike Sherman. Says, can you provide an update on when the new passenger boarding bridge at MBIA will become fully operational?
Hi, Mike. Thank you for the question. I can't give a definitive date, but it is something I will take back with me and endeavor to give a public update on the matter. The passenger bridges were handed over by the contractor. As the public is aware, the bridges were funded as part of the general airport upgrade with the kind compliments on the government and people of China. So the bridges have been handed over to the airport. So it's really for the airport to get it up and running. The training and the use of the passenger bridges were done, and we expect that there will be continuous training. So I too look forward to an aircraft coming in, I hope sooner rather than later, and using the bridges. Certainly when it's too hot or when it's raining, it's obviously an improved convenience. And since I just mentioned the government and people of China, I want to take the opportunity to say congratulations to Ambassador Wei, whose time in Grenada is coming to an end. He has been an excellent representative of the government and people of China and has really been a close partner and has worked with us closely in many initiatives funded by the government and people of China. So Ambassador Wei, his wife, and the team at the Chinese embassy here, congratulations and Godspeed in your future endeavors.
We have another question from Elizam. Any updates on the university in Hope?
Hi, Elizam. Your question is actually quite timely, save that the Minister for Education met today with a representative of the University of the West Indies. I did not get an update in time for this afternoon's show. What I can certainly say is that we are keen to move this matter forward one way or the other. The lands in Hope, which totals about 88 acres, was gifted to the University of the West Indies by the government of Grenada under the Tillman Thomas administration for the express purpose of the construction of what was then called the Open Campus 5 Island University. That was done since 2012. You would appreciate we're in 2025, so that's some 13 years ago. And obviously nothing has happened. So while we obviously are quite supportive of the University of the West Indies because it's our homegrown university, we also have to defend the interests of Grenada and the citizens of Grenada and the patrimony of Grenada. So what I certainly undertake to do is I expect that I'll be fully briefed by the Minister of Education coming out of the meeting today. And then we'll be in a position, I think after Cabinet further deliberates on the matter, subject to what the university would have conveyed, to be in a position to give a full briefing on where we are.
And I think we have one more. This is the final one. All right, this person says, I really appreciate the innovative steps your government is taking to build tech skills in areas like cyber security. Could you please share when the second cohort will begin and where and how one can apply?
All right. Thank you for the question. I can't yet share when the second cohort will build and the modalities for the application. The reason for that is because I think there's one key component to the training that is very important for us. The partner we worked with, Cyber Nations, Protexa, gave us the assurance that our trainees will be able to get job training and eventual job placement. And this is critical for me because the government funded the training and we want to ensure that we can test the assumptions and that our trainees do get the job placements, that we look to see the kind of employment they get, the kind of salaries they get, and how they progress through that process. Because obviously and I'm just using rough numbers, I think 64 persons graduated. For those who are not already employed, if 60 of them do get employment, and if the employment is significant and the salaries are significant, then clearly we will be highly incentivized to continue the training because it means that the assumptions that we entered into the program are valid and that there is high demand for cybersecurity persons who are trained and so on. So we're not yet. We did it as a pilot. We wanted to make sure we learned the lessons. We knew what worked, what didn't work, what the rate of dropouts, attrition was, what the rate of job placements were, what the actual salaries and incomes they would earn are, so that we can do a full assessment and then decide how we then go full steam ahead with the program. So I expect in the next couple of weeks we'd have a debrief in terms of how the success of the program, and then we'd be able to expand or not just repeat the cyber training, but add other aspects such as full stack development and other IT courses as well.
So we're getting ready to take your calls, 423-3104. But before we do that, take your sip. We're getting ready to take your calls, and you can start right now. We have a caller online. Caller, good evening and welcome.
Yes. Yeah, good evening. My name is Randy. I'm calling from Canada.
Welcome.
I have two concerns about Grenada when it comes to pollution. Okay, because what I noticed now, we have a minister from Guam who's going all over the world to make Grenada a greenhouse space. Now, if you look at all the young guys in Grenada, they removed the catalyst converter and the residue from the vehicle. And this thing is polluting the environment more than, like study will tell you, if you remove one catalyst converter on a vehicle, it's just as bad as cutting down 10 trees. So I would like for the Minister of Transport and Environment to look into that. Let them guys and then put back the catalyst converter and because carbon monoxide is deadly for the environment. Secondly, the noise in Grenada. Everybody want to play the music loud, loud, loud. When I come to Grenada, I live in Red Gate there. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, those guys pounding the music all over in the night. Sunday morning, church going on, those guys pounding the music passing by the church. Could they get put something in place and say, listen, you're playing your loud music at 9 o'clock p.m., you should shut it off. Sunday morning, people going to church, people have a time off, please load down your music. So this is the two things that concern about the pollution, the noise pollution, and the environment pollution. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, caller.
All right. Well, no, thank you for the observations. I think I will start first with the noise pollution. We do have legislation in place that controls the decibel level of noise that people make. We also have a permitting system where the police is required to give permission for the what I would call loud playing of public music in public spaces. So that is something we also have to treat with. So in many instances, it's a question of ensuring that we build the right culture so that persons are considerate of what is happening with other persons. I take the point made in relation to the pollution by cars where persons may alter the car. Obviously, it's a highly technical issue, and I think it is something that we can certainly work with the Transport Commission to address, as well as the police who are required to inspect vehicles and so on. So I think those are valid comments, and I look forward to seeing how we can use the suggestions you've made to come back and see how we can improve on those two issues.
Okay, well, tell you what, we have to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and, of course, take in some more of your calls. In the meantime, 423-3104, that's the number to call. Back in a bit.
Welcome to the Cinnamon Model, one of the many stunning designs in Project 500. The home offers 944 square feet of living space, not including the veranda. It includes 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a dedicated laundry storage area, all centered around an open kitchen, living, and dining space for everyday comfort. In the current view, with work at 70% completion, having rough plumbing already in place, electrical, interior walls, and ceiling finishes to be installed soon.
Calling the CARICOM community, assembling global Africa, the 4th edition of the Afri-Caribbean Trade Investment Forum. Active 2025 is coming to St. George, Grenada, this 28th to 29th July. Join government and business leaders, investors, and trade and finance institutions to explore the theme, Resilience and Transformation. Enhancing Africa-Caribbean economic cooperation in an era of global uncertainty. Be there as we stand together to strengthen our commercial ties, to promote shared trade and investment opportunities, and unlock prosperity for Africa, the Caribbean, and the wider diaspora. The 4th Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. Reserve your place now at active2025.com.
And welcome back once again, viewers and listeners, to DMs with PM. We are taking your calls. I believe we have a caller on the line. Caller, good evening and welcome. And please be as brief as possible.
Yes, I will. Good evening.
Good evening.
I would like to know who is responsible for the repairs of the road from the Lansepine Lansepine Road to the quarry entrance? Repairs. Who's responsible for the repairs? Is it the government or the quarry? Because there are massive holes and damaging individual cars. Who is responsible for the repairs?
All right, well, thank you for the question. I will probably say the government, simply because for public roads, the government is responsible for it. Lansepine, to some extent, is a unique case because the way in which Lansepine was developed, it was actually not public roads initially. They were all private roads because the entire area was sold off as private lands, creating private rights of way. But naturally, over time, as the entire area has been developed and built up and there are significant populations living in there, the government has taken over the maintenance and repairs of the road. I take it that because it's specific between the quarry and the road, perhaps because of the heavy traffic and the heavy vehicles that frequent the quarry, that the state of the road is probably deteriorating faster than other parts of it. So I take it from the comments. I haven't been there recently, so I can't speak to the state of the road, but I will certainly bring the matter to the attention of the road officers, and we can see what can be done to address the matter.
We have another caller. Caller, good evening and welcome.
Hi, good evening to you, Aaron, and good evening to the Prime Minister. My question is, the opposition MPs are not seen to be using the constituency allowance wisely and to help the constituents. My question to the PM is, what happens if the NDC were to win all 15 seats in the next general elections? Would the administration then hold the opposition MPs responsible for those funds? Thank you.
All right, well, first let's win all 15 seats. And then we can take it from there. But no, even as it stands now, as parliamentarians, we are accountable to the people. And we are accountable to the parliament in our entirety. So I expect that as we are reporting on our performance in our respective constituencies, that we will account for how the funds are being spent, who we're helping with the funds, and the type of initiatives that the funds are being put to. I mean, on any given day, both as Prime Minister and as MP for St. David, persons are asking for help in all kinds of areas. And that is part of the reason why the constituency allowance was given, because we recognize that outside of what I would call the executive arm of the government, that if you were elected by persons as an MP and you have no resources at all, not even to help someone with a cylinder of gas if they genuinely were in need, then a citizen could easily say, well, what was the point of me electing you as an MP, except if the only way you can help me is if you're sitting as a cabinet minister in government. And I don't think from a representation point of view it is fair to an MP, whether you're in government as a minister, whether you're in the party that is in government but you may simply be an MP and not a minister, for example in the case of MP Ron Redhead, or whether you're an opposition MP because people voted for you and at least you deserve some resources. Now, if you have the resources, particularly as an opposition MP, and you are not using it for the benefit of your citizens, your constituents, then I expect the next time round the constituents have an objective basis upon which to assess whether you care about them or not. So all I will say is for the citizens who voted for MPs who form the opposition and the other one who's now an independent, you have an opportunity to assess whether these MPs really care about you. Pure and simple. Because they have a constituency allowance given to them by the taxpayers. It is something we introduce. We could have sought to be partisan and political and say, let's find ways to only have the resources allocated to MPs who form the government. We didn't. We said all MPs should be treated equal in their capacity as MP, and the funds have been allocated. So that's part of the reason for doing this. The public will get to test and judge whether persons who say they care about you, who say they want to represent you, when given the opportunity to do so, and when given some resources to do so, ask them what are they doing with their resources. Ask them what programs or initiatives they are using their constituency funds for in the constituency. And it has nothing to do with whether you're in government or not. So we will see, I guess, by the time the next budget comes around and persons have to account for their stewardship, what they've done with the funds.
So on a point of clarity though, are the funds given directly to them to disperse as they so desire?
Well, it's given to them in their capacity as MPs via their constituency offices. Okay. So there are some limitations as to what they can and can't do with the funds. For example, they can't take the money and spend it on themselves or on their immediate family members. But they certainly have significant discretion in terms of the things they can do, certainly from the perspective of helping persons in the constituency. So they do have discretion in relation to that.
Caller, good evening and welcome, and please be as brief as possible.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Hello?
Go right ahead, caller.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Okay.
Think we have another caller. Caller, good evening and welcome. Okay, I think we'll have to get back to that call. We have another.
Hello.
Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Am I on right now?
You're live. Go right ahead with your question and be as brief as possible.
With the new school being built, what steps will be taken to ensure from the design process it will support accessibility as a step towards fewer barriers for persons with disabilities? And where are we in regards to updating policy and actions to bridge the gap for persons with disabilities in regards to the law?
Thank you.
All right, so thank you, caller, for the question. She didn't identify which school, but if it's the St. David's Catholic Secondary School, I can indicate that the design feature actually explicitly contemplates persons with physical access challenges. So the school has ramps, and the school also is equipped with elevators, so that persons who need to get to the second and third floor don't need to take the steps. In terms of wider policy initiatives that would lead to improvements in the law, I can't say specifically where the Ministry of Social and Community Development is in terms of the policy development, but I know this is something that the Minister and her team is passionate about, and I'm sure we will be in a position to give future updates as to where they are. But this is something we committed to. We do recognize that Grenada itself has certain physical limitations and challenges, given the small size, given the rocky, hilly, mountainous terrains that we face, and given that a lot of our buildings are already built, unfortunately, without access to easy access for persons with physical challenges. I think what is important is going forward, that for new buildings, particularly public buildings, that we ensure that the design code puts in place amenities that would allow persons with physical disabilities to be able to access it.
Caller, good evening and welcome, and please be brief.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to know what is requirement for cyberbullying, please.
When you say requirement, you mean to prevent it, or if there are consequences where people do it?
Yeah, what do I have to do to be in the program?
Oh, you mean in the cybersecurity training program?
Yes.
Okay, so the first part of the program has completed already. We are now examining, how successful it went, and then we will be starting hopefully a second program soon. So what I would say is stay tuned through the Department of ICT. We will communicate with the public to let you know when the second program is starting and what the requirements are for applying. But thank you for expressing your interest in wanting to take part of the program. It certainly shows that I think the program has the interests of the citizens, and we would certainly do everything we can to try and let you know when the next program will start.
Thank you. We have another caller online. Caller, good evening and welcome. Good evening, caller. You're live.
Yes, is that DM?
Yes, you are live.
Okay, lovely. Okay, the question I want to ask is, Mr. Prime Minister, why it is that we cannot get, some factories, one or two factories to come in here and, use like the Grenadian labor and stuff like that to provide, some more employment opportunities? That's my question.
All right. Well, thank you for the question. I think, as I said earlier on the show, we actually want to encourage particularly the private sector to lead the process of creating and developing in factories and being able to support them. And I pointed out, for example, that in St. David we have the Windfresh farm, which had been closed, and this factory has been purchased by a private businessman in Grenada, and they're doing everything they can to invest, upgrade, fix the equipment, and to begin to start producing ice creams and so on from the factory, and we're keen to see how we can support them. I also pointed out that the Ministry of Agriculture itself has acquired a site in Lacalome in St. David that they're retrofitting. The aim is to again put equipment in there that will allow agro-processors and so on to be able to process their foods. But I want to say something about manufacturing. For manufacturing to be successful, we need a couple of key things. One, we need cheap power. That is cheap electricity. Electricity is not as cheap as you'd like it to be in Grenada. And two, you need a constant and steady supply of raw materials. So I'll take mangoes, for example. Mangoes are seasonal. You can't make mango nectar and try and sell it, and then you only have stock for 6 months of the year, because you can't then tell the customer for the next 6 months, I'm sorry, I don't have anything to supply you with, because then they will not buy from you. So part of the challenge we have is that a lot of our fruits are still seasonal, and we have to get to the point where we actually change our agricultural practices so that they're no longer seasonal, if that's possible, and two, that we can do a lot more storage of bulk freezing of pulp and so on that would allow us to have the stock throughout the year. So those are some of the challenges that we work on, but it is something we want to encourage the private sector to do, because we don't think the government has the capacity, or will it have, when we look at past attempts by the government to be directly involved in factories and so on, including going as far back as the PRG period, were they sustained or successful when the government itself was running it. So it is something we are more keen to support the private sector to do.
Okay. Caller, good evening and welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good evening, welcome. Go right ahead.
I would like to ask the Prime Minister, Mr. Agnes Deacon Mitchell, if I want to know if I forget about Carriacou and Petit Martinique, the people are going to like to know why $40 million have to spend in Grenada and $20 million have to spend in Carriacou, and it's Carriacou that get damaged. And we're going to like to know when the material are going to be starting to give back, so the people will start to build back their house, because now we're in rain season and it's really ridiculous in Carriacou. And final question, I would like to know, and the people in Carriacou would like to know, if you and the MP for Carriacou is on good terms, because find it's ridiculous in Carriacou. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much for the question. Myself and Honorable Tevin Andrews are on excellent terms. Up to yesterday, we were speaking. We had a very, very long cabinet meeting that actually ended about midnight last night, because we were dealing with a number of important issues. So yes, we are on excellent terms, not just me and him, but himself and the entire cabinet of ministers and MP are on fantastic terms. No, we have not forgotten about the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, nor can we forget about our brothers and sisters in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And we are acutely aware that we were in the month of July, and 1 year ago, Carriacou and Petit Martinique was ravaged by the hurricane. And I want to emphasize this. The government has dedicated significant time, effort, and resources, and is continuing to do so to address the challenges that our brothers and sisters face in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Are we able to satisfy every need or requirement or desire? Absolutely not, and nor would it be possible to do so. But we can simply talk about housing, for example. Significant efforts have been made to support the citizens of Carriacou and Petit Martinique with housing. As you're aware, we started off by removing all taxes on building materials associated with the repair work, not just in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, but also in St. Patrick, St. Andrew, and other areas where people are impacted. I'm not sure if you're aware, we've also, in an attempt to even facilitate the faster provision of homes, we've bought prefabricated homes, and we are deploying them in Carriacou so that we can lessen the period it takes to repair or rebuild homes. The Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, together with the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, have been building back better homes in Carriacou for citizens who've been impacted by it. As you're aware, it was through our relationship with the government and people of Guyana that we had the Guyana Defence Force in Carriacou and Petit Martinique for a significant period of time, not just fixing all of the schools. So I'll just give an example. With the exception of the Dover government schools, all of the schools in Carriacou are back up and running. The medical facilities, the hospitals, etc. There was significant damage to the environment. We cleaned up at enormous costs to the citizens of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, the boats, the debris, etc., etc. We can go on and on. Grenada Development Bank was provided with significant funds to help the business people in Carriacou. I could show right there in Main Street, people like Wayne and so on, their buildings were repaired through the financing provided by the Grenada Development Bank. So as recently as the opening of the fish market in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, we, not just myself, but many of the cabinet ministers were there with Minister Tevin Andrews to witness the opening of that facility. So I love Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I wish I could spend a lot more time there, but I'm the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and so naturally we have to spend our time everywhere. And then finally, I am not so sure where you're getting the figures about how much money was spent in Carriacou as opposed to how much money spent in Grenada. But while Carriacou is an island, it is still just a constituency. It is not Grenada, the state of Grenada. So naturally, you would find, given that there are more people in Grenada, and while Carriacou and Petit Martinique was significantly damaged, hundreds of people in St. Patrick alone lost their homes or suffered damage to their homes, and so significant sums would have had to be spent both in Grenada and in Carriacou in addressing the hurricane burial relief. So thank you for calling. I hope when next time in Carriacou, I'm hoping to come up after Carnival, that I meet you somewhere and we can have a drink or two.
Definitely. Caller, good evening and welcome.
Hi, good evening.
Prime
Minister, your administration has submitted a bill for approval in Parliament that will reduce the age of civil responsibility from 18 to 16 years so that minors will not have to seek permission from parents when they require sexual and reproductive health treatments. When will there be consultations with stakeholders on this bill? I must also state, as a parent, I am against this bill, and I would like to have a forum to debate this issue.
All right, so thank you for that, and I'm happy. In a sense, this is a forum to debate the issue, so I'm happy for you indicating your views on the matter. I wish to point out that there has been extensive consultation on these matters. These are actually all matters that this administration met when it came into office. As recently as yesterday, I was pointing out to someone that when I just joined the political arena and I became leader of the National Democratic Congress, one of the first public events I attended was an event at Spice Basket, which was then being led by a team that was leading what is called a Spotlight Initiative, which main focus is on gender-based violence, providing access to women, including young women, to make sure that they have access to sexual and reproductive health. At the time, the minister who was leading this initiative was the Honorable Delma Thomas, who was then the minister responsible for those matters. And this has been an ongoing project or program spanning years. As I said, we're talking as far back as when I got involved, 2021, and even before that. So there's been extensive consultations on these issues. I think what happens sometimes is that because the consultation is so extensive and so long, that by the time the bills come to Parliament, people forget that there were extensive consultations and that it appears as if out of the blue some bill is being rushed through Parliament. So that's not the case. And I want to take the opportunity to just perhaps provide some rationale over this issue. And I think it's important because oftentimes we don't take the opportunity to explain a lot of the historical or legal context about things related to sex. First of all, there is no age of consent for having sex in Grenada. There are criminal prohibitions on persons who are of a certain age, specifically persons who are adult, or I would put it this way, 17 and over, having sex with persons who are 16 and under. And if you do so, then you're liable, even if the 15-year-old consented. If you're 18 or 19 or 20 or anything like that, you're liable to be charged criminally because for criminal purposes, the law says if you're under 16, you cannot give consent. That's the first thing. Second, I want us to understand what we are trying to address. We are trying to address instances where young people need access to sexual or reproductive health, and that includes information, that includes education, and it may in some instances include treatment. But their parents will either not consent to their detriment, or the children are unable to even have conversations with their parents about it. And I want us to look at the reality of what many young people, particularly young girls, face in Grenada. Many of them are abused sexually. Many of them are raped. Some of them suffer from family abuse. Some of them suffer from incest. And even when they try to go to their parents, because let's not forget, in some instances, it is the parents who are doing it. We have instances where men are sleeping with their daughters. If the child needs health treatment in those circumstances, is she able to go to the very perpetrator, her father, to ask his consent to go see the doctor? Of course, he will deny it. And in those circumstances, the nurse or the doctor, etc., will not be able to provide the treatment because you are a minor, you're 16 or you're 17. So what this is seeking to do is to ensure that we put the health, and I'm starting here with education, of our children, particularly those who are 16 and over, in a position where they can have access to health care, whether it's sexual or reproductive health care. That may start with education. That may start with simply being able to consult a nurse or a doctor or an allied health practitioner. We still face the taboo here where parents don't even want to speak to girls about the menstrual cycle. We have to be able to get to a point where we can talk about those things because it is education. It is about healthcare. It is not about trying in any way to prevent parents from having control over the children. So it is related purely to reproductive and sexual healthcare and access to healthcare. So I appreciate that whenever issues over sex and consent and adulthood or so comes up, it's sensitive, it's emotional. But this is not a bill that actually was drafted under the National Democratic Congress. These were all bills that would they were all in train even before we got into office. And so I certainly, if I have to come down on making sure that persons who are under 18 have access to sexual education and have access to reproductive health care, I will come down on their side. But we appreciate that these are sensitive matters and everybody may want to weigh in. And we have no difficulty with the debate. We have no difficulty with people stating their views. But I don't want us to pretend and engage in hypocrisy about the challenges many of our young people face when it comes to sexual and reproductive health care and access to sexual and reproductive health care. And so, for example, if children, and I'm using the word children deliberately, if a 16-year-old is having sex and they catch an STD, do you think they're going to go to their mother or father and tell them? So you have to weigh that against how do you treat the child? How is the child going to get access to the medication required to cure the sexually transmitted disease? They must go to a doctor or a nurse. If not, you ask them to go to some back alley or some back street or figure it out themselves, and the consequences will be worse. So this is not in any way designed to suggest that we want to take away parents' right to control their children. We really wish we would never even have to entertain such bills, but the reality and the statistics in Grenada show otherwise. There are a significant number of young persons who are contracting sexually transmitted diseases. It means they're having sex. And if we don't give them access to reproductive health care, if we don't give them access to sexual health care, it will get worse. They will get ill, and then they will continue spreading it amongst themselves and worse yet to other persons. So that is the reason behind the bill. But as I said, we accept it's passionate, we accept it's emotional, we accept it's sensitive, and we're happy to hear the views of everyone who wish to give their views on the matter.
I can definitely sense your passion in that because you're a father before you're Prime Minister. So it means we're going to have to do a conversation or program centered around, what you just said, because it definitely was a lot. And I think that is a conversation that we really need to have and people need to hear because, like you said, it is happening and it's happening way more than some would think. Sometimes you'll hear the court and the amount of cases, incest cases, that is up for before the judge. It's frightening. Yes, so we can't put our head in the sand and pretend it's not happening. It is happening, and we have to be on top of that. We're getting ready to wrap up, but before we do, we have a final call. Caller, good evening and welcome.
Good afternoon and good afternoon to you, Madam Aruna and Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. I am calling from Canada. And I would like to pose a question to the Honorable Prime Minister.
Go ahead.
The question is, there are many of us Grenadians who live outside of Grenada. And we know the internet is very dangerous in terms of giving information or sending out information. Many of us may not have come home recent or since we left Grenada, we never returned. But with this new government, for some of us who are not getting the real information about the government performance, I would like to ask the Prime Minister, in a case where we would like to come back, if we want to come back to vote, what can you say to us or encourage us or would give us a good reason to come back to vote for the government? What can you feed us with? What we're not have lucky enough to receive directly from you, from the government, just because we're not in Grenada to experience what the government is doing presently. So what can you tell us to convince us we need to come back to vote for the present government?
Thank you, Carla.
That's my question to you. Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Carla, for the question. Well, I would like first to invite you to come back to your homeland, to come back home to visit, so that you can see firsthand what is taking place and get a sense, unfiltered, from the approach we have taken to governance in the country. But I will start first with the rule of law, with democracy, with freedom, with the ability of people to express themselves, to share their views, to debate, and to have access to the government. A perfect example is this show. I don't recall in my lifetime a Prime Minister subjecting himself once a week on a program for 1 hour, unfiltered, no censorship, where you can ask me anything. That is testimony to the type of government that we are, to the type of transparency that we believe in. Fundamentally, we are about trying to make sure that we can empower Grenadians wherever they are. So that means we've invested heavily in education, and we will continue to do so. Healthcare is a significant challenge. It's not a challenge we are going to run away. We intend to improve it over time, and so again we are making significant strides by embarking upon Project Polaris, which is our new hospital. But in the meantime, we are making significant strides to begin to address the challenges at the hospital and to have greater investment in primary healthcare, and crucially see how we can scale up scholarships and education opportunities for Grenadians who wish to become healthcare professionals, because if we don't address the shortage of healthcare professionals there, it will be difficult for us to do. We've supported our farmers and our fishermen significantly, because we recognize that we need to boost our productive capacity and production on the island. We are looking to address the cost of electricity by ensuring that we can encourage more renewable opportunities for our citizens, both at a commercial and at an individual scale. The tourism sector is growing in leaps and bounds. There's even more investment there. So we have more and more persons visiting and getting to know about Grenada. As a Grenadian in the diaspora, we welcome you back home. There are significant concessions that are awarded to returning nationals. So you get lots of duty-free items if you bring back your household items and so on that you had in Canada or New York or London with you. So that, because we want to obviously get you to come home, bring your investment, bring your savings, so that you can help with the overall economic development of Grenada. And lastly, we want to continue to make Grenada a safe and friendly space for our returning nationals. And so we continue to ensure that we work on law enforcement, we work on community policing, and we work on trying to ensure that we have more community spirit, more community engagement, so that we look out for one another and we know each other. So I hope in the limited time I have, I've done a good enough job. If not, I may be in Canada around the 20th or 21st of August, and I hope therefore I get the opportunity to have a town hall meeting with the Grenadian Canadians, and then you get the chance to ask me any further questions.
And you forgot to let the caller know, in order to vote you have to register.
Well, first you need to come home. So I think you need to come home first. You need to be registered to vote. And so hopefully we can encourage more or especially, our retirees and so on who are living outside of Grenada to come back, bring their pension, bring their income, but bring their knowledge and their expertise as well.
Well, we're getting ready to wrap up, but before we do that, two quick questions. Of course, I know on the weekend you met with the folks from Clogie regarding the situation. Lots of folks have expressed concern about what's happening there. Can you give us a brief update?
Sure. The site is a site that is unstable, and in fact, the fact that we were doing the road is a recognition of the fact that it's a site that has a lot of water. There's a lot of springs in Closure, and so we had some between the natural water courses and burst mains from Nawasa. While the construction work was taking place, we had a major failure of the entire road, not just the site, the road before the site, the road after the site, including a house that is located close to the site. Because of the failure, when I say failure, the road has dropped significantly, so that impacted the house as well that's there. So what we've had to do was first to pause the work to make sure that we can assess it properly. We can have the right technical assessment as to what remedial steps we need to do. We've done that. The contractor and his team are working almost non-stop, 7 days a week. In fact, the contractor pointed out that he's 7-day Adventist, but even on Saturday, he and his team have been coming out. We've Also hired Mr. Timothy Bob from SAFET to provide additional engineering support to the contractor and the team at the Ministry of Infrastructure. So step one, because we had so much silt coming down from the land slippage, the contractor has been working on getting all that silt out so that we can backfill the area and also do a temporary walkway, because the collapse was so spectacular that even just a footpath was difficult, and they've been creating a footpath and they've been building it and rebuilding it because of the continuous slippage. They've had to do so. So we expect, I hope it hasn't rained a lot between Sunday and today, that the silt removal will be able to be completed and the backfilling material can start. The contractor has indicated that he expects within 2 weeks or so we can have a stable enough site that you can have light vehicles passing, but we will have to do a lot more extensive work, potentially including even the demolition of the existing house, the acquisition of the site, and that will take probably another 90 days or so. So in the meantime, we are making arrangements to have a shuttle service for the residents of Closure so that we can minimize the inconvenience that they've been going through. And we met with the residents to talk about how we will do that. We got their input, and so we expect that we will be able to put that into effect in short order. I want to thank the residents of Closure for their patience and their understanding. But that's the challenge we have with a lot of the infrastructure in Grenada. We have precipices, we have a lot of water courses, and then we have a lot of mountainous lands that slip constantly.
And finally, the Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum, that's coming up.
Yes.
What's the final word on that?
So the Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Conference will be held on Monday and Tuesday of next week. It's a massive conference. Its design is really to focus on trade and investment opportunities between Africa and the Caribbean. We have significant business leaders. We have significant political leaders, both from the Caribbean and Africa, convening in Grenada. We have over 1,300 delegates who have been registered, so we expect a significant number. And the idea really is to make sure that we begin deliberately to forge greater economic ties between Africa and the Caribbean. Historically, that has not been the case. In fact, trade between Africa and the Caribbean regionally is about 3%. We need to change that. We have obvious historic ties with the continent of Africa. We believe Africa has the greatest potential as a continent for the next 50 to 100 years. And as brothers and sisters, we need to make sure that we take advantage of that opportunity and that we exploit that opportunity. So it's a significant opportunity for tourism. It's a significant opportunity for cultural exchanges. It's a significant opportunity for the creative industries. And it's a significant business and tourism opportunity.
Okay. And finally, Carnival, of course, is just around the corner. The activities are intensifying, lots happening, but of course we can't leave without at least making sure that folks are aware of safety procedures, gun violence, other forms of violence. What's your final thoughts on that?
Well, I think first I want to emphasize that Carnival is a time for celebration, and violence and celebration simply does not go hand in hand. And so particularly for our young men and particularly for our men, we want to emphasize the need that you can have a good time without fighting, without walking with knives or sticks or any type of weapons. And that again, while the amnesty for the firearms are over, we still want to encourage those who have illegal firearms in their possession to turn these over and to hand them in. I've said repeatedly, firearms are meant to kill. They're meant to maim. And there will be no good end if you have an illegal firearm. You're either going to use it on someone, or someone unfortunately is going to use a firearm on you. And then you risk injuring or damaging other citizens who are innocent and who have nothing to do with any dispute or conflict. And that's not the reputation we want for Grenada. That's not the reputation we want for Carnival, because then it would fail. It will not be successful. People will not feel that they can go out and enjoy themselves and be safe. And even before we talk about tourists or anything like that, we ourselves need to ensure that we are safe if we are going to be able to go out and enjoy a Carnival. So I want to emphasize the need for us to make sure that we moderate our behavior, that we have a violent, free Carnival, that we have a safe Carnival. And then finally, I want to encourage our parents to make sure that we appreciate that there's a distinction between adults and children, and that we have to ensure that when it comes to entertainment, that we have children appropriate entertainment and adult appropriate entertainment, and that we ensure that we also think about the safety of our children when we are going out, or when we are taking them to Carnival events, or if we are leaving them with other persons. We want to ensure there's always adult supervision.
Well, this is where we come to the end of our very first